Today I'm trying to win the Portuguese Premier League with Sporting. No, not that Sporting, this Sporting. Sporting Club de Praia from the islands of Cape Verde. So I've moved the club to the Portuguese 3rd Division and we need to earn 2 promotions to take on the likes of Benfica, Porto and Sporting Club de Portugal for the title. But there is a twist. We can only have 5 players in the team that don't have Cape Verde nationality. So this challenge is going to be even harder than it already sounds. We have 3 key players to build around. Centre-back Maja is the club's long-term captain. He'll offer stability early on, but at 37 years old, he'll need to be replaced soon. A future captain could be Edson Tavares. The young right-back will be looking to hold down that position for years to come. And just in front of them is Alexandro Martins, an excellent holding midfielder looking to become a star for the club and his country. These 3 players fit nicely into our 4-4-1-1 formation. We're trying to be defensively solid because I think we're going to struggle this season against stronger opposition. However, the season actually started surprisingly well. We defeated Caldas 2-0, Desembro 3-0, and União Santarém 3-2 as Edson Tavares got himself on the score sheet. Maybe getting promoted to the 2nd Division was going to be way easier than I thought.
It turns out I was being lulled into a false sense of security.
Because they ended up being the only 3 games we won in the entire regular season. Our 3 key players might not be as good as we thought they were. As a result, we came 9th in the 3rd Division South at the end of the regular season. So now we're competing with the teams ranked 5th to 10th in a relegation group, where the bottom 2 teams go down. And to make it worse, the team who finish 5th in the league get a 6-point head start, 6th place gets 5 points, and so on and so forth, meaning we're already behind without even kicking a football. With 10 games to save ourselves, things didn't start great, with 2 losses and 2 draws. But finally, 5 months after our previous win, we picked up another 3 points. If there is a time to find some form, it is now. Only we then lost the following game 3-1 and still looked in danger. But we ended up winning our next 2 matches. We beat Oliveira de Hospital 2-1 and squeezed past União de Santarém 1-0 for our 3rd victory of the relegation phase. With 2 games to go, we're now out of the bottom 2 and we're on the cusp of survival. And a dramatic 4-2 win over Desembro in the next match ensure we remain a 3rd Division side for next season. But we need to drastically improve, so we're in for a very busy summer, especially as we had 8 players retire, including Captain Maja. The board are only giving us £40,000 to spend as well, so we need to rely on free transfers, loans and the youth team, as we had 3 great players come through our Season 1 intake. Manuel Gomez is a left-footed centre-back, and at just 16 years old is already the best centre-back that we own. Patrick is a centre-mid who's going to train up to be a playmaker to try and run the show, and strangely, Tom Savage is an English winger. How he came through our youth academy, I don't know, but we'll find a place for him in our team as one of our 5 non-Cape Verde players. Luckily, he will gain citizenship in a few seasons' time, but this season he is one of those 5 non-domestic players. 4 others have come in on loan, as we've signed another 6 players on a permanent deal. So given this team is so different to last season, it's either going to go really well or even worse. The best of the bunch is striker Pedro Cauai, who's in on loan from Benfica. I think he has all it takes to get loads of goals at this level. To fit in our new players, we're switching to a 4-3-3 and using roles that suit the players we have. But despite that, the season didn't go to plan. We had an okay start with 1 win, 1 loss and 3 draws, but after that, things started to fall apart. Between September 3rd and January 11th, we only won 1 game, and we were sat rock bottom of the table. We only got off the bottom of the table because we won our final 2 games of the regular season against Athletic Club de Portugal and Sporting Club de Portugal's B team. So instead of last, we finish in 9th and head to the relegation group once again. But we did secure 4 more points than last season. However, being in this group seemed to give some of our players a wake-up call. Pedro Cauai had only scored 2 goals in the regular season, but in the 10 relegation group matches, he scored 6 as we started to put together some good form. He wasn't the only one. Young winger Tom Savage scored 4 of his 5 goals for the season during this period of time, as we won 6, drew 1 and lost 3. So we actually end up finishing miles away from relegation and will fight in the 3rd Division next time out again. With more changes needed, Hugo Cunha is the best of the 7 players we've brought in over summer. He's one of 3 loanees and will be our starting keeper as we look to keep more clean sheets. We're also promoting Cléder de Rosario from the youth team to be our new starting striker. He isn't great, but he's about the best we could do. But as it turned out, Do Rosario was incredible. After a rocky start to the season, he scored his first goal for the club in a 2-1 win over Caldas. Then he kept scoring winning goals. He got the winner over Lusitania in a 2-1 win, and scored the goal to put us ahead in a 3-1 win over Sporting's B team. He also got the goals in a 1-0 win over Massama and Estrella de Amadora to keep our winning run going. Poor old centre mid Patrick, who is having a breakout season of his own with 4 goals and 7 assists, was being totally outshone by the unlikeliest of heroes. We end up second in the table with Do Rosario the league's joint top scorer and make it to the promotion group, which is going to be incredibly tough. Here, the top 4 teams from a North and South division combine and play for 2 automatic spots and 1 playoff spot to face the team finishing 16th in the second division. We had a wake-up call when we lost to 2 teams from the north, Beira-Mar and Braga's B team. However, we were able to beat Tondela and Porto B, with Do Rosario of course scoring the goals, as well as avoiding defeat to the 3 teams from our southern division. So after playing 7 of our 14 games, we sit 4th in the table, and with a good run, we could genuinely be in with a shot of promotion. Naturally, Cledir Do Rosario went on a scoring spree. He scored twice past Beira-Mar to win 2-0, and then scored the game's only goal as we beat Massama 1-0. To continue his winning theme, he scored the winner in a 3-2 victory against Tondela, and then once again got the game's only goal as we beat Braga B away from home. Incredibly, as we picked up 12 points, Tondela only secured 1, Beira-Mar 0, and Braga just 3. With 3 games to go, if we avoid defeating our next match, we earn promotion and the league title. But Porto B aren't going to make this easy for us. However, 19 minutes in, some quick passing saw Patrick thread a ball through to left winger Billy Avora, who gave us the lead. Patrick almost doubled the lead 40 minutes in, but his close range effort was blocked. But Tom Savage's shot just a few moments later was far too powerful to be blocked, forcing its way past the keeper and into the back of the net for a 2-0 lead at the half-time break. Of course, Do Rosario had to get on the score sheet, and just 5 minutes into the second half, he provided the goods. Denilson Tavares then profited from the defence double-teaming Do Rosario, leaving him with plenty of space to pick his spot, make it 4-0, and secure us the Division 3 title and promotion. I'm kissing the badge. I love this club. Big thanks to Sangalo for sending me their shirt, and you can get one too from their website. Sangalo partner with unique clubs with incredible stories from across the globe and sell their jerseys to shirt collectors like us. Sporting Club de Praia are one of the oldest clubs in Africa and have won 13 Cape Verde championships. Cape Verde is actually a footballing nation on the rise. They made the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations in 2023, and it's local clubs, just like this one, that go a long way to make that happen. Sangalo help clubs like Sporting create extra revenue streams by being able to sell their jerseys globally. So when we buy a shirt from Sangalo, we're helping teams like Sporting produce the next Edson Tavares and Alexandro Martins. Sangalo work with the clubs to make sure each design is tailor-made. Sporting shirt features the traditional Sporting colours, as well as incorporating wavy patterns to showcase their local setting, and the club's nickname is proudly on the back of the neck. So head to their website linked in the top line of the description, or scan the QR code on screen to check out all the clubs they work with and find a team and story you love. All summer long, we've had to reject bids for young centre-back Manuel Gomez, who came through our Season 1 youth intake. But if clubs are bidding up to £300,000 right now as a newly promoted team in the second division, if we get promoted again, that might turn into the millions. So obviously, I rejected all of them. However, we could only bring in 1 player with Cape Verde nationality, meaning we're a little light on the ground for players this season. The other 5 editions don't have Cape Verde citizenship, and remember, we can only have 5 players without the citizenship in the team. So this does mean that 15-year-old Heracles dos Santos from last season's youth intake has to start on the left wing for us. Although fundamentally, he does look like a decent winger. It was our other winger though, Tom Savage, who was taking all the plaudits this season. He scored twice as we won on the opening day of the season 5-2 against Alverca, and then he got the winner as we beat AVS 2-1. In fact, in the first half of the season, he ended up being our top scorer with 9 goals in 15 matches. And it wasn't just him scoring. When Do Rosario wasn't assisting him, he was also getting goals, as he scored 8 in those games as well. With these 2 firing, we kept winning matches. despite not having a strong team, we were finding ways to win. So at the halfway mark, we sit top of the table with a 5-point gap to the effective second place team Maritimo, as Benfica B can't get promoted. First and second get automatic promotion, so we can stay in the top 2, we're in the big league. Finally, Heracles dos Santos was starting to add goals to his name as he scored a few crucial ones in the second half of the season to keep us winning. But Tom Savage fell out of form, and Verde de Rosario broke his leg in January, taking him out for the rest of the season. As a result, more losses and draws started to creep in, and the games we did win were typically only won by 1 goal. With 5 games to go, we fall behind Benfica B, but that's still okay, because as it stands, us and Maritimo will both get automatic promotion. But a loss and a draw in our next 2 matches were not what we needed, and as a result, we slipped to 3rd place, behind Vizela, who have come out of nowhere. A goalless draw with a team in the relegation zone, and a 2-0 loss to Benfica B should have ensured we were out of the promotion race. Incredibly though, Maritimo have been almost as bad as us, and we stay in 3rd place by a single point. And our final game is against bottom of the table Santa Clara. But given the form we're in, the inevitable happened. Rock bottom Santa Clara, with absolutely nothing to play for, scored 3 goals past us and secured the win. The dream seemed over. However, Maritimo also lost their match, meaning we stay ahead of them, and despite not winning any of our last 7 games of the season, we secure automatic promotion to the Premier League. I have also just bought a lottery ticket. That is the most incredible good luck I think I've ever had in Football Manager. So now we're in the top division, we can start working our way to winning the title. But this might take some time. Despite promotion, we've only been given £1 million to spend on new players. Frustratingly, we also lost Verde de Rosario on a free transfer, as he elected to join Braga, then re-sign his contract with us, and Patrick also left for his criminally low release fee clause of £425,000. But after selling our non-domestic players and having loanees leave the club, we have 5 non-domestic spots to fill, so I scouted the world and found the best players that I could. Irish striker Owen Masterson is going to replace Do Rosario, and I think overall he looks like a better player. Samuel Justo arrives on a free from Sporting Club de Portugal after his contract expired, but the biggest coup was Rafael Fernandes. The Cape Verde citizen joined us after his contract expired at Lille, and he might be the fastest centre-back in the entire league. We had a rude awakening to the top flight. We lost our first 4 games of the season against Vitória, Porto, Sporting and Farense. Relegation looks like it was going to be on the cards for us. However, we got our first win at home against Nacional thanks to our new centre mid duo of Sidney Tavares and Ion Diakonu, and these goals gave us some confidence. We beat Gil Vicente 2-1, Moreirense 3-0, and Braga 3-2 thanks to a late goal. Maybe we aren't relegation fodder after all. In fact, we even beat Sporting Club de Portugal 1-0, the team that inspired our club's name, kit and badge. As a result, we sit 6th in the table at the halfway mark of the season, way higher than we were expecting to be. Even without any major injuries, we've barely had to use any of our backups. The winning just continued in the second half of the season as well. We earned a massive 4-3 win over Braga thanks to a late goal from Tom Savage. We thrashed Porto at home 4-1 with Masterson on the score sheet, and the OG Academy player Manuel Gomez scored as we beat Casapia in the battle for 5th place, which we won. By the end of the season, we secure Europa League football by finishing an incredible 5th place. However, we are now a little bit stuck. I would say 5 of our best 7 or 8 players are non-domestic players. And given the rules we have, we cannot sign any more non-domestic players until we sell some of the current ones that we have. But I don't want to sell any of them because they're really good. So all we really could do is loan a few players, including our former hero, Verde de Rosario, who was finding out the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So we head into the Europa League with virtually the same team as we had last season, and that was good enough to beat Celtic 3-0 on aggregate in the 3rd qualifying round. We then beat FC Utrecht 2-1 in the playoff round, meaning we make it to the league phase. Here we managed to beat Ferencváros and PSV, but 2 further draws and 4 losses mean we're nowhere near the top of the pile. But to continue with our theme of good luck, we scrape a spot in the knockouts by finishing 24th in the table on goal difference. However, our luck ran out in the knockout rounds as we lost 5-2 on aggregate to Feyenoord. As for the league, given we've made minimal changes, we had very similar results. The teams you'd expect to be above us like Benfica, Braga and Porto all beat us, whilst we earned a point against Sporting in a 3-3 draw thanks to Masterson's 92nd minute goal. So once again we're 5th in the table and don't look like we're going to win the title this time around. Especially because we lost Tom Savage on deadline day in January when the board accepted a bid worth up to £3 million from Man City, and to make it worse, he's just sitting in the under-21 squad doing nothing. So it means our second half of the season was pretty lackluster. Owen Masterson hit 20 goals across the season to give us a reason to celebrate, but overall we slipped down to 6th place with fewer points than we got last season, so something has to change. Our 3 best players by far are Manuel Gomez, Owen Masterson and holding midfielder Kwame Amawu, bought in the same season as Owen. Manuel is from Cape Verde, so we have to keep him, but we could cash in on the other 2 for big money and then try and use that money to sign better non-domestic players to improve the team. Frustratingly though, the only bids coming in early doors were for Manuel Gomez, which we had to reject. So I switched tactics. Although we lost Tom Savage for not much money, the board did negotiate a 30% of profit clause for him, and we can now sell that for 8.3 million. So I used that money to buy good players from the Cape Verde national team and some others with Cape Verde as a second nationality. It means we have a good centre-back partner for Manuel Gomez and Paulo Sousa, who we brought in from Sporting Club de Portugal, and we are attempting to replace Tom Savage with Paulo Landim, who we had on loan last season, and he now joins permanently for £1 million from Boa Vista. All our new players started to perform, and they helped Masterson, who wasn't subject to any bids over summer, beat Jablanek 5-2 on aggregate in the Conference League third qualifying round, and then score against FC Twente as we beat them 6-1 on aggregate in the playoff round to reach the league phase. Impressively, we beat Manchester United 3-0 as we went on to win 5 of our 6 league phase games to qualify for the round of 16 by finishing 5th in the table. But of course, Europe isn't really our focus. We've actually been really good in the league. We beat Porto 2-1, Benfica 1-0, and Sporting 2-0, all teams that we have to be beating to finish above them in the table. The issue is, we then lose games to teams far down the table, like Nacional and Arouca, who scored their winner in the 89th minute, which undoes all of our hard work. So despite beating the teams at the top, we're still 9 points behind Porto at the top of the table at the halfway mark. But in the second half of the season, we did lose to the likes of Porto, Benfica and Braga. So in the end, they just extended their lead further ahead. However, we do achieve a personal best of 4th and we finish ahead of Sporting, so that is something. And we did pretty well in the Conference League as well. We stormed through the round of 16, beating Hapoel Beersheva 7-1 on aggregate to make the quarterfinals. And here we managed to score 3 past Standard Liège without reply to progress again. However, when we travelled to Schalke, the Germans managed to put 3 goals past us to take a commanding lead into the second leg. Here, Paulo Landim scored early on to give us hope, but we couldn't score again, meaning we fall at the penultimate hurdle. So I do feel quite disappointed with this season, despite it being our best season so far. So in an attempt to try and push the club forwards, I'm going to do something that I really don't want to have to do. I'm transfer listing Owen Masterson, the man who scored 35 goals in all competitions last season. And this started a bidding war. Napoli started with 24 million, but Porto got past them with their £34 million bid. In the end though, we sold him to Dortmund for a whopping £40 million. Don't worry though, I was kind of happy to sell him because I've already got his replacement lined up. This is 20-year-old Thomas Martinez, who's got 16 finishing, 15 composure and 16 pace. We signed him from Boca Juniors for just 2.5 million. Look in a dictionary for the definition of daylight robbery and a picture of his transfer fee will appear. With the extra money, we re-signed centre mid Patrick from Liverpool. He'd only made 2 appearances for Liverpool since joining in season 5, so he was more than happy to come back. He's just about as good as Samuel Justo, so we sold him because he doesn't have Cape Verde citizenship and we can use that extra non-domestic spot to improve in other areas. Like signing Rodrigo Suarez from Nacional in Uruguay for just 4.5 million to play on the right wing. And for old time's sake, we re-signed Clerdir de Rosario for £300,000, although I doubt he'll play many games for us now. Despite our new signings being really good, it did take a while for the team to gel. We weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, we only lost one of our first 10 games of the season, with a 1-0 loss to Benfica. But 5 of those first 10 games ended up being draws, and that's way too many to have in the early stages of the season if we want to win the title. From here on out, we need to be perfect. And to be fair, we almost were. We didn't lose again in the first half of the season. Thomas Martinez and Rodrigo Suarez started to adapt to our tactic and were beginning to score goals for fun, helping us to a 6-game winning streak that was only ended when we drew 2-2 with Benfica, and they only scored that goal because a deflection took their shots past the keeper. In fact, those 4 points we dropped to Benfica are the reason we aren't top of the table as things stand right now at the halfway point. If we're going to win this season, we need to focus up. Going back to the start of the season, we lost to Midtjylland in the Europa League qualifying rounds, which meant we dropped into the Conference League. We did okay in the league phase, enough to get to the knockout rounds, but we lost to Brentford in the round of 16. Which means all our attention can go on winning the league, whereas Benfica and Braga lasted longer in Europe and have additional matches to play. And this was working out wonderfully for us. In the 13 matches after we drew with Benfica, we won 11, as Thomas Martinez and Rodrigo Suarez took another step forwards. Between them, they are more than replacing the goals we lost with Masterson, proving it was a good idea to sell him. The only games we slipped up in is when we bottled a 3-0 lead to draw 3-0 with Portimonense, and then we lost 2-0 at home to Famalicão. So with 5 games to go, we are just a point behind Benfica, and we do need to surpass them in the number of points we collect. Because if we finish on level points, they'll be ahead of us because this league is actually sorted by results between teams instead of on goal difference. So things did not start well when we lost to Sporting 2-1 away from home. Luckily for us though, Benfica could only draw with Casa Pia, so they're still within touching distance. But they won their next match 4-0, whereas Heracles dos Santos on the left wing was sent off 5 minutes into our game. Luckily, we still managed to win 3-1 and keep the pressure on Benfica at the top with 3 games to go. Frustratingly though, a 95th minute winner for Benfica gave them another 3 points in the next match. But once again, we also deliver. 2 second half goals see us beat Casa Pia 2-0 and keep up the pressure. And that pressure got to Benfica. Somehow, they lost 1-0 to a 90th minute goal, which also happened to be the only shot União had in the entire match. So that means if we win our next game, we go top of the table heading into the final match of the season. So imagine how upset I was when we went 1-0 down to Farense. Fortunately though, we scored twice in the second half to claw ourselves in front and just win the incredibly hard-fought match. This puts us on top of the table, and we just need one more win to claim the title. Standing in our way is 17th place Estrella Amadora, and just 3 minutes in, they tripped up Thomas Martinez, and the referee gave us a penalty, which the Argentine scored for his 30th goal of the season. 5 minutes later, right winger Suarez had his shot tipped over the bar by the keeper for a corner, and this allowed Martinez to put the ball on Manuel Gomez's head for our second of the match. And just 2 minutes later, from another corner, Amadora couldn't clear the ball, and Patrick capitalised by scoring a third. By the 20th minute, the game was all over, as Diacono arrived at the back post and made it 4-0. Comparatively, the second half was a snooze fest, as we only managed to score 4 more goals to not just win the match, but win the Portuguese Premier League in style with a team from Cape Verde. Big thanks to Sangalo for sending over Sporting Club de Praia's jersey. You can find this along with so many others over on their website, linked down in the description. Now recently I did go to watch Sporting in real life, as in Sporting Club de Portugal in Lisbon. I was given a media pass and access all areas to their Champions League match against Borussia Dortmund. Click this video thumbnail right now to go and see what I got up to and what this media pass got me access to.